Just for folks. Thank you, Jordan. So just
sorry to interrupt it.
No, I was just going to say that just for folks who are joining. So, I think we've been over this, but we usually kind of.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Miss
Zeta, how are you?
I love you guys. Long time didn't see you
I
guys.
know. Oh my gosh. How are you, Miss
I miss you guys. Really, I miss you guys. Thank you. How's everything going on?
A lot is going on, Miss Ida.
Yes.
You're going to hear all about it.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So I was just saying we'll give folks a few minutes to kind of log on and get started, as usual, about a few minutes past 5:30. So let's as we hit 5:30 now, we'll give, if folks are going to join us, we'll give a few minutes. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Thanks to everyone for joining us.
I see we still have 2 people logging on.
So I know there are a couple of members of the committee. So both Danielle and Okwe had prior commitments. They're going to keep them from joining us right at the start. So they'll be logging on maybe a half hour or more into the meeting. So we'll start without them. But for folks, members of the public, and others who are joining us both here in the Zoom webinar and on Facebook, we'll give a few minutes for folks to log on before we get started.
Is Joan joining?
I've not heard from Joan. Yay or nay?
So Mazita is another committee member. And Charlotte and Matt are 2 more members of our public affairs staff. Matt is the Director of Public Relations and Charlotte is Director of Marketing and Digital Communications, and you'll hear more from them in a moment. I want one of those backgrounds. How come I don't have a cool NYC Votes background?
We haven't shared the background. Well, we didn't roll it out to the full staff because we were waiting.
Right.
So if you want to join public affairs, you can have it.
I know. I always forget until Charlotte has hers, and then I'm like, all right.
That's right. That's right.
Doing backgrounds now.
The little checkerboard of different colored backgrounds.
Okay.
Give it just another minute. All right, so we're at about 3 minutes past 5:30, so maybe let's just jump in. A good evening to everyone. I am Eric Friedman. I'm Assistant Executive Director for Public Affairs at the New York City Campaign Finance Board. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Voter Assistance Advisory Committee. To kick things off, I'm going to look to our chair, our newly appointed chair, Zoila Torres. If you have any remarks to start us off, please say hello.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. Glad everybody's here. I don't have much to say, being that I just started. And so I'm glad to be here, and I hope, like I've said before, I can rise to the occasion. Some of you may know me already. I've been around a long time, and I look forward to the work of this committee. And from the looks of it, we seem to have quite a bit to do before us. So I don't want to really hold us up too long. And I'm glad to be here. And so let me just hand it over very quickly to Amy. Amy.
Thank you very much and welcome. And we're really happy to have you and glad that you joined the committee. I'm Amy Loprest. I'm the executive director of the Campaign Finance Board. Before we hear about the work of the staff ahead of the general election, I wanted to give you a brief update of the work on the campaign finance program side. Last Thursday, October 7th, the Campaign Finance Board approved $3,057,576 in public fund matching funds payments to candidates, to 51 candidates in the general election. With Thursday's payment, the board has paid more than $14 million to candidates in the general election, while more than $109 million was issued to candidates for the June primary elections, bringing this year's total to over $123 million. The next disclosure statements are due by midnight, October 22nd, with the next public funds payments being issued on October 28th. Before I turn it back to Eric, I just want to say that you will be hearing presentations from our public affairs staff tonight, and I just want to congratulate all of them on the incredible work that they did in the primary and all the work that we have planned for the general election. And amazingly hard work in less than ideal circumstances with a lot of changing conditions. So really congratulations to all of them and all of their staff on the amazing work that they've done in this really busy 2021 election. And you will hear about how busy they're going to be in the next couple of weeks as we approach the general election. I'll turn it back to Eric now.
Thank you, Amy, for those kind words. I want to make sure that I give folks on the committee, if anyone has kind of welcoming remarks to start us off. If you'll raise a hand if you want to be recognized, and give you a few minutes. Jamila, please.
Hi, thank you, Eric. Good evening, everyone who's watching and for coming. Jamila Rose from the Office of the New York City Public Advocate. And this time I will not forget my description. I'm a Black woman with a black shirt and a green jacket on with a printed head wrap, cultural head wrap. Just wanted to give greetings on behalf of the New York City Public Advocate, and also just to say that we're excited about much of the work that's going to be happening over the next 3 weeks as our city prepares to go to the polls again for November. Our office is going to be hosting some additional workshops and teach-ins around ballot proposals. So people can stay tuned for that information. I won't share that now, but welcome to everyone and looking forward to hearing more about everything that's exciting happening from New York City Votes.
And I guess I apologize that I did not give my description. Again, it's like you need to, like a habit, need to do it, I guess, 15 times before you actually form the habit. So I am a white middle-aged woman that I am wearing a black head wrap, and I have a purple sweater on, and my background is a bookcase in my home office.
All right, before moving on, I want to recognize Chris Malone.
Sure, thank you, Eric. Good evening to everybody. I am Chris Malone. I am a middle-aged white male wearing a blue checkered shirt with a solid blue tie. I'm in my home office, which has been occupied and taken over by my wife and 10-year-old daughter. So behind me is a bunch of artwork from a 10-year-old, which is not bad, actually. I have gray and brown hair, and I wear clear rim glasses. I just started a new position. I'm the associate provost at the SUNY College of Technology at Farmingdale, one of the state university campuses in Farmingdale, New York, which is on Long Island. I was appointed by Mayor de Blasio in April of 2020 to this great committee. And I just want to say that over the last, 14, 16, 18 months during pandemics and new forms of how New Yorkers vote, that while we know we haven't perfected the democratic system here, the amount of progress that I've seen just as a spectator, much less being a member of this committee, that we've made over the last year and a half is truly tremendous. And I just want to commend everyone in the system, and NYC Votes for its advocacy work. And I'm looking forward to hearing what we're going to learn about tonight. So thanks so much, Eric.
Thank you, Chris. Any other folks welcoming remarks? Ms. Ada, anything? Say hello.
Yes, hi everyone. I introduce myself. I'm very proud. I'm a BAAC member, and I can introduce myself. I was the advocate to have a Bengali translate ballot election voter guide review with the state. And another thing is that I am South Asian, I am Muslim, I am Bengali. That is my only inspiration to my Bengali community, South Asian community, that because of me, because of New York City vote, now our people more engaged and they understand voter policy. Now they are very interested to know more about voting issue because of vote NYC and because of my engage, and our people now get out and vote more now. Not only that, because of language, they can say now they can vote. Now they can even select their candidate. It is huge achievement. I can say that now even our Bengali become a city council, assembly, Congress, Senate. They can be a candidate now. Because of NYC, because of Bengali language, this is a plus point to be engaged more voters, turnout, also be choosing their right candidate. It is, I think, a must reachable achievement goal for Ajay. I am a Bengali. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ada. So with that, we'll kick off. First, I want to thank Jamila for keeping us on point, and I'll remind everyone, I am Eric Friedman, Assistant Executive Director for Public Affairs at CFB. I am, I guess you'd call me middle-aged, white male, got grayish brown hair. I'm appearing in front of a virtual background that is navy blue. You can see the words NYC Votes over my shoulder in yellow. I'm wearing a blue shirt and a tie with blue polka dots. But first, I want to reiterate our welcome for our new chair, Zayla Torres. He is joining us at a very exciting moment. Amy alluded to this. We are coming to the end of what has been an extraordinary, historic election year here in New York City. In the first half of this year, in the middle of a pandemic, with a new system of voting, with an unprecedented number of candidates running for office, the staff who you're about to hear from tonight, built a program that introduced New Yorkers to ranked choice voting, informed voters about the candidates and about the issues at stake, and helped New Yorkers cast their votes with confidence. Amidst all of these challenges, the June primary saw the highest turnout for a mayoral primary in a generation. What we've heard from New Yorkers is they overwhelmingly approved of ranked choice voting. So with all of that kind of behind us by a few months, we are now getting ready for the general election coming up in just a number of weeks. We are less than 2 weeks away from the start of voting. So folks who are with us back in April at our last pre-election meeting will remember we used that meeting to preview the work of the staff leading up to that primary election. We are going to tonight be presenting a similar preview of what we've got coming over the next couple of weeks. In addition to electing a new mayor, a new city council, every office is on the ballot. We've got 5 important questions on the ballot in November for New Yorkers to decide. And so with all of that coming up, we're going to hear from our Director of Marketing and Digital Communications, Charlotte Levitt, and Mitchell Cohen, our Content Strategy Manager, talking about our campaign to get New Yorkers excited to vote, the work that they're doing to connect them to the resources that will help get them ready to vote, our voter guide, our advertising campaign, our comprehensive online resources, and they'll be talking about those. We're going to hear from a Director of Public Relations, Matt Sollers, about the debate program for citywide office. We've got mayoral debates, we've got debates between the candidates for public advocate, and those are coming up. And he'll be talking to the committee about those. We are going to be hearing from our Director of Partnerships and Outreach, Omar Suarez. He will be talking about our Get Out the Vote campaign, our direct to voter outreach that he and his team have built for this November's general election. And last but certainly not least, we'll be hearing from our intergovernmental liaison, Jordan Pantalone, who'll be talking about the outreach that we're doing to help connect with New Yorkers and explain those questions. They're going to be on the ballot and give folks a flavor of what that looks like. And we'll make sure to leave some time at the end for questions, comments from the committee. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn things over to Charlotte to jump in and give us a taste of what her unit has been working on.
Thanks, Eric. So I'm going to try to do more showing than telling tonight. I'm going to show you the campaign that is out there right now and that voters are going to be seeing in the coming weeks. But first, to introduce myself, I'm Charlotte Levitt. I'm the Director of Marketing and Digital Communications. I am an elder millennial white woman with curly brown hair. I'm wearing a very dark green shirt. And I'm standing in front of a virtual background that's like a very autumnal kind of orange with a blue speech bubble in the corner behind me that you'll see ties to the identity and look and feel of our campaign that I'm about to show you. So let's do that. Let's make sure I share sound. And I think I'm good. Cool. So I'm going to walk you through the campaign we're doing for the general election. This has probably the most text of any slide in this deck, but these are some of the goals that we have for November. So we want to encourage turnout, of course, while engaging audiences that have historically been underrepresented in our elections. And so that one of the specific things we're going to look at is youth turnout. We want to double youth turnout to 25%. In order to do that and accomplish all of our goals, we want to drive traffic to the informational resources that voters can consult, especially voting.nyc, which we can measure. And so we're looking for 300 to 500,000 unique visitors to that site. We got more than 500,000 in June. We know that there's a perception that there may have been a little bit more traffic in June because of ranked choice voting and the size of the primary. So we'd like to come close to that at least. And we want to build trust and awareness in this new brand so that people know the information they're getting from us is, official and trustworthy. So we want to sustain interest and engagement with that. When we thought about what we needed to communicate to folks, the key needs we were hearing is, why does this election matter? So kind of balancing, connecting with the larger issues to what is really practically at stake in November, and answering this question about why are we voting again that we're hearing from some people, just to make clear the stakes of this general election. Make sure folks know how to vote with all the options we have now with early voting and mail-in voting, but also making it clear that we won't be using ranked choice voting. This is a single choice election. You pick one candidate. And then we want to talk to folks about who's on the ballot, what are they going to do if they're elected, what's the job that they're running to do, and continue providing information on candidates as only we can, while offering more info on what different offices do, including some offices that are state offices, judicial offices, things like that, where we know information has been thin in the past. And then what else am I voting on? This is getting folks thinking about the impact of the ballot proposals and explaining what they mean in really plain language. So as a reminder, this is kind of the personality we're trying to convey in everything we do, being approachable, helpful, independent, activating, which we mean sort of energizing and also empowering, and open, which to us is about being both transparent in the info we share and being really responsive to what people need. And so how I kind of think about how this all comes together, we have this engagement model, which is the triangle you're seeing in the middle. It says engage, get informed, register, vote, influence, run. And we think about the fact that people might move through this journey from just starting to get engaged with the information to potentially running for office. And so we think about what information to give them at which stage of that journey. And so we usually want to answer these questions about why first. That's what I kind of think of as the top of the funnel in marketing language. And so that's where our ad campaigns really sit. Once folks are registered and getting ready to vote, we want to tell them about how to actually do that. That's where we start to do that on social media with search engine marketing, email, other channels where people are looking for a little bit more practical detail. And then we get into this, who am I going to vote for? What am I voting on? When people are really making their decisions. And that's where our website and our voter guide become useful tools to folks. So that's kind of the framework we think about as we're creating the campaign. And so as a reminder, in June, this was kind of the pieces we had. We had this new logo for NYC Votes, this tagline of our futures on the ballot, these little speech bubbles with different issues, everything from police reform, climate action, COVID-19 relief, and a color palette that includes, purple, the orange of my background, pink, a light blue or green and yellow, and some neutrals. And we're moving to a concept for November that retains that palette, but kind of inserts the things you're voting for into that tagline. So not just our futures on the ballot, but our future mayor is on the ballot, our future voting policies are on the ballot, et cetera. So this is kind of how that looks. We have a poster with, our future mayor, representation, environment, city council, voting policies on the ballot, and then a version that says vote now in all those rainbow colors that we'll be using as we get closer to election day. When we talk about the ballot proposals, we're using language that's a little different from what is going to be literally on people's ballot. And this is informed by kind of research and talking to voters. So representation is the impact of redistricting. The word redistricting could be like a little alienating and sound very technical, but when you talk about representation, everyone's interested in that. The environment is the thing that this ballot measure would protect. Voting rights or policy highlights the benefits of both same-day voter registration and no excuse absentee voting, both kind of technical terms. And so we're talking about them under this umbrella of voting rights or policy. The justice system speaks to both the ballot proposal about the civil court jurisdiction, as well as all the judges that are on the ballot and DA. And mayor and city council, of all the offices on the ballot, were the two that resonated the most with the folks we talked to. So we're prioritizing talking about those. And so this is kind of a little of how that looks. When it moves on Instagram, we can actually insert those words into the tagline. So we see them pop up in the middle of it. And then we can feed people, the dates, which are really key, and this call to make your vote count and learn more. We also have creative in Spanish. This is an example on Snapchat where we can have all those offices drop in because it's a vertical and get them all on the screen at the same time. Similar idea, then go to the dates and encouraging people to make their vote count. This is a little comparison about just where we're spending our budget. I'd say the takeaway is it's not all that different. We're spending a little bit more on radio and a little bit less on TV, a little bit more on digital. That's primarily because the message is a little simpler, right? It really is about just getting out and voting. We don't have to explain as much about ranked choice voting as we needed to in June. And here's a little bit more of how that looks. These are live boards that are live in the subway right now with similar animation to what I just showed. These are some wrapped cars that are driving around the Bronx. They're also going to be like driving to areas where people are gathering, but they're rideshare vehicles that people are taking rides in around the Bronx. The drivers actually have information about the dates for voting and copies of the voter guide that are in the car. This is kind of a test. We've never done something like this, so we'll see. There's also some digital that goes with this, so we can then target a mobile phone of someone who was close to a car or in a car.
Very excited.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very excited. I'm so excited.
These are some of the bus shelters and
yes,
inside of the bus that you'll see. And these are some examples of community and ethnic media ads that we'll be placing. this, our future's on the ballot tagline going over to vote now, which we can also do in multiple languages at the same time, which is fun. And then we have some premium placements. This is a cover wrap of El Diario that's going to run on the Friday before early voting, letting folks know that it starts tomorrow. So I'm going to show you the official video, and then I'm going to show you an unofficial video, and you can tell me which one you like better.
Hey New York, our future is on the ballot in this year's general election. What kind of future will you vote for?
Your vote decides our environmental health and voting rights.
Our most representative city government yet.
The justice system we need. We'll elect our next mayor, entire city council, and more, all while deciding critical ballot measures. So make your vote count. Learn more at voting.nyc.
So that's the official kind of government PSA, which is useful and does get you all the information. But this is an example of some of the influencer content that we're going to have on TikTok.
Nice. Testa. Who are you? How did you die? I am the ghost of Sylvia Carter, Donna III, and I was a suffragette who died in 1919 at this very location. Are you going to vote this election? Oh, you mean the election coming up on November 2nd? You know, I'm more of a big election voter, like for presidents and stuff. I don't... Silence! I did not spend my life fighting for your right to vote for you to be only a big election voter. It is your civic duty. Silence! The entire city council is on the ballot this year. New York has the opportunity to elect the most diverse city council this town has ever seen. Things like environmental rights and voting laws will be on the ballot. Sister, all elections are big elections. Wow, suffragette ghost, thank you so much. I didn't even think about it like that. Well, good thing early voting opens on October 23rd and it's going through October 31st, so I have time to get on it. Goodbye, my child. Go to voting.nyc for more information. Thanks. How do you know how the internet works?
So we thought that was a fun way to explain what's on the ballot. This is the voter guide. It's landing in mailboxes now. Something I just wanted to point out, a few things that are new. We have this voting plan section. So when we had ranked choice voting, we encouraged people to list out all their choices because there's a lot to keep track of. Now that we don't have to do that, we're kind of encouraging them to do some different kinds of planning. How are you going to vote? Mail early voting election day. Look up, find your poll site. Who do you plan to vote for? Just one person, and then the ballot proposals. So really coaching people through like the whole process and giving them a place to keep track of all their info. We also added more information about accessibility. We were really glad to get some helpful feedback from Disability Rights New York and others about what we could include here. So really featuring the absentee ballot that is accessible, as well as the language and interpretation services that are available. And then some of the content on ballot proposals. So we'll have the ballot proposals in the print guide. We'll have the language that's on the ballot, a summary in kind of plain English, and then bullet points of what actually happens if you vote yes and this passes. In a second, actually just on the next slide, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Mitchell, and he'll show you we have some additional content online about these ballot proposals, and people can see responses from other folks about why they support or oppose them. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Mitchell.
All right, thank you. So now I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Uh-oh, Jordan, I'm having some issues. Don't know if I have access. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So if you go to our website right now, we have a big call out on the front page to meet the candidates. So really, this is where we're going to direct people. So I want to walk you through the process of, if you are a voter looking to get information about the candidates and how prominently we're displaying ballot proposals throughout that. So like we launched this summer, the prompt is, as soon as you get here, to enter in your address so we can share personalized information about the races and candidates on your ballot. So once you do that, we're going to show you the list, the specific list of all of the city offices. a brief description of what those offices are, and then a link to find more and all of the candidates. Right in there, we've embedded also information on ballot proposals. So as Charlotte mentioned, we really want to give an overview of why ballot proposals matter. What are they? How do you vote on them? And then answering a question that we know has come up a lot of why are they even on the ballot? So those are all things we really want to address right off the bat using kind of a similar kind of messaging architecture that we did for ranked choice voting, explaining the why before really getting into the details. So on the landing page, we have a one-sentence description of each proposal, because we know people really want a quick overview of what they are. And then as Charlotte just shared for the print version, here's the version of that page online. So this is looking at the second question on the ballot, where we provide the exact language of what you're going to see, a plain language summary. So the summary is supposed to explain in a bit more simple language what actually is the ballot proposal, and then relevant context about how that affects current law and current rights, and then the overview of what will happen if it passes. And here's the section where you collected statements from the public in support and opposition. So in order to be neutral, we're not displaying any of those up front. You have to choose if you want to see statements in support or opposition, but here we've collected those from individuals, from organizations, and we think that's a really helpful way for people to get a sense of how is the public thinking about these. In some cases, people did not submit any supporting or opposing statements on behalf of some proposals, and in that case, we make it very clear that is the case. You're not hiding any information from anyone there. So we're really hoping that the way that this has been put together, we're just providing a really simple entry point into awareness of what the ballot proposals are, kind of the context that you need to understand why they're important, and simple breakdown of each of them. With that, I will hand it back over.
Great, thanks, Mitchell. I do want to just be transparent about the fact that if you go to voting.nyc right now, all of that content is available. That was live, what Mitchell was just showing you. We are having some technical issues displaying translations right now, which really pains us because we care so much about having them available. We're actively working on it, and we have a message to voters about that, the fact that we're resolving that technical issue right now. But those printed voter guides are also in the mail. And in addition, we've shipped them to our partners. So every public library in the city has a copy of the voter guide, and you can go there and pick it up in any of the languages it's available in your community. And every elected local district office also received copies of the voter guide. So we're trying to create lots of channels for people to get this information in the way that they prefer. We know that the mail has been a little unreliable recently, so trying to create lots of ways in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charlotte and Mitchell. Just everything looks great, and those are some great resources we've created for voters to get them ready. Next, I want to turn to Matt to give us a preview of our televised debate program coming up.
Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate that. My name is Matt Sollers. I'm the Director of Public Relations at the Campaign Finance Board. I am a middle-aged white male with brown hair, square-rimmed glasses, a blue shirt, and I am joining you from my bedroom broadcast studio. To start talking about, we have some very exciting debates coming up starting next week. This debate program is culminating next week and the week following a year's worth of work. I'm very happy to say that Chris Malone joined us in vetting and choosing the debate sponsors last year. We worked with New York One and a group that they led, ABC, and a group that they led, and NBC in putting on the primary and general election debates. So next week, I'm going to see if I can also share my screen so you can see this. Next week, starting on Tuesday, again, we're on the voting.nyc page. Next week, we have our first debate coming up on Tuesday, October 19th. That's for the Public Advocate's Office. It will be on Spectrum News New York 1, featuring Debbie Nampiaparampil and Jumani Williams. Again, that's from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on New York 1. It will also be live streamed on the news website, The City. The other sponsors working on that debate are Citizens Union, the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and Social Works Votes, which is an initiative out of the Columbia School of Social Work and the Latino Leadership Institute. On Wednesday, the following night, October 20th, we have our first mayoral debate of the general election. This one will be broadcast by WNBC and Telemundo 47 from 7 to 8 p.m. And the two candidates are Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa. This is a big change from our primary debates, which all featured in the mayor's race 8 candidates on the stage. So I know that all the broadcasters are looking forward to a diminished stage and a lot more ability to dig into the issues with the candidates this time around. And then the following week on Tuesday, just a week before Election Day, Tuesday, October 26th, we have our leading contenders mayoral debate, again, between Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa. That one will be broadcast by WABC, Univision Nueva York, and 1010 Wins from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And again, I think I mentioned Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa. It is so 3 big debates and an exciting opportunity for voters to tune in, learn more about the candidates. I should also mention that all 3 of these debates will be simulcast on NYC TV, which is the city-run broadcast channel. And all 3 debates will have live, in-person ASL interpretation, American Sign Language interpretation, that's being provided by the Campaign Finance Board for all of the broadcasters. And prior to each debate, we will also be offering up audio descriptions of the candidates, the moderators, and the studio via our Twitter feed and by press release. So we're trying to make these debates as accessible to all voters as we possibly can. So that about covers the debates program we have coming up. Hope you all tune in, and I'll turn it back over to Eric.
Awesome, thank you, Matt. Looking very much looking forward to seeing those debates coming up. I am next going to turn to Omar Suarez to talk about our GOTV campaign that he and his colleagues are putting together. Omar.
Thanks, Eric. So I'm Omar Suarez. I'm Director of Partnerships and Outreach with NYC Votes at the New York City Campaign Finance Board. I am a lighter skinned Afro, Latino, Dominican descent. I don't know, this was a little harder sometimes, but standing in front of a blue background with the green NYC Votes letters. And I have more white hairs than you would expect for my age. I'm going to share my screen just to discuss some of our upcoming initiatives to get voters ready for the general election. So we're focused on 3 core areas, doing sort of a how to vote for 2021 presentation that we're doing with community groups and partners, other stakeholders, where we touch on the ballot proposals. I won't go too deep into that because I think Jordan's going to touch on that in just a bit. Also touch on key dates, resources, places where folks can go for more info, utilizing our voting.nyc website and all the resources available there, and going over the voter guide and how folks should use it. We also have direct to voter outreach, our Get Out the Vote campaign, which is mostly text-based now, not doing phone banking as we did in the past. And we have youth civic engagement, which is sort of a combined workshop model with our peer-to-peer youth ambassador model. So the presentations that we're doing, it's been a combination of folks inviting us to pre-existing meetings and events, along with organizing and bringing together groups of people to learn about, particularly the ballot proposals has been sort of the attraction when it comes to our partner organizations this time. Folks want to know more about these, so we've taken some effort to provide explanation using the plain language explanations that we have in the voter guide, and some background information. So since September, we've had about 19 of these events, reached close to 500 people. We have over 20 scheduled through election day. That number is growing daily. And so, I mean, we're happy to be getting requests. And so we anticipate to be very busy speaking with folks throughout the city through election day. Folks that reach us through word of mouth, folks will be at a presentation or at a workshop and ask if we can organize something with them. So that happens all the time. People find us on voting.nyc, and also through an event request form that we've gotten out there. Coming up, we're also doing some sort of more citywide public-facing events. One group of events in partnership with the Mayor's Office, Democracy NYC, and the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, where we're offering language interpretation. So those are going to be 5 different events. I think our VAAC members will be happy to see Bangla is included, and that's coming up just tomorrow. Next week, we're going to host something for the city employees of city agencies. Those will be 2 different sessions. So making sure that this information is also being shared with these populations in addition to the sort of more community-based approach. In terms of voter registration, just in the lead up to this election, we did have the naturalization ceremony voter registration for several years. That partnership was on pause due to COVID-19, and it was really something that we missed doing. We were able to reestablish that partnership in July with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security down at 26 Federal Plaza. So we've been back there on a monthly basis up until the voter registration deadline on the 8th. And there are some restrictions in place, so it's limited our effect with these new American citizens, which is unfortunate, but we've continued and working to continue that outreach all the way into next year. So 250 voters that we registered at these events, these are newly sworn in citizens. For National Voter Registration Day, also in preparation for the get out for the general election. This is an annual national holiday. We had some virtual events with a couple of the schools throughout the city and the New York Public Library. We also use our text platform to reach 90,000 voters. That was with a message of, can we get folks who have been sort of established in a residency and have voted regularly to take this voting information. Hey, National Voter Registration Day is coming up. Make sure your status is up to date, your registration status is up to date. And if not, you can update it or you can register to vote. All that information we have at just a click of a button on our website. So we shared that. And we also targeted a group of younger voters whose address had recently changed to guide them to where they could update their registration status. So we also had an event over on the right side. It was an event that we had with Baruch College, just discussing for some of the students there, the importance of voting and using this opportunity to get registered to vote. In terms of our biggest get out the vote efforts, we'll be doing the text banks again this month. They'll be remotely. They're happening on Saturdays, every Saturday starting this Saturday until the 30th. So that'll be 3 Saturdays back to back. We have the RSVP links on our website. So you just go to the voting.nyc page, get involved, and on our events page, you can find these websites and RSVP. Just to provide some additional sort of background context for this GOTV campaign, we set a goal of messaging 300,000 voters this month, with the goal of converting as many as we can from presidential election year voters to local election year voters. So one of our sort of biggest hiccups is every 4 years we lose half of people who do vote in presidentials. We lose half of those and end up with around a quarter of the voting public turning out for local elections. So we were very intentional to set targets of voters who did vote last year and see if we could convert them. Within that group, we are looking at youth ages 18 to 29. I mean, youth is how you feel, but those are the age ranges that we set. We also newly registered people who may be new citizens or people who just moved from another state. Unaffiliated voters who have not heard from pretty much anyone, any of the campaigns certainly, and they couldn't vote in the primary, obviously. So we wanted to include those voters in our universe. And finally, we have a selection of target neighborhoods throughout the city with a higher indice of naturalized citizens. So that's the sort of closest approximation we can get in terms of voters who are more likely to be immigrants or naturalized citizens. We do it by zip code. Obviously, immigration status is not stored on the voter registration form. And we're going to be using alternative messages to see which one's more effective in getting folks to engage. Sort of a how you can vote message, which just hits more on the nuts and bolts of, the deadline to request your absentee ballot is such and such date, and so on and so forth, depending on the day that we're texting them. The second message is more about what are you voting for? Why should you hit the polls? Again, this is trying to stay in line with the ad campaign coming out of the marketing team. So explicitly calling out things like, your environment, your voting rights, representation are impacted by this election. And so making sure that we're including that messaging and seeing which one generates a little bit more of a engagement. In terms of youth civic engagement, we are doing something, something very exciting. I think it's important to give context for why local elections matter, and we can talk about the issues that are impacted by that. One other way that we're doing that is with our local history curriculum, which was worked on very hard by our youth engagement coordinator, Olivia, where we're able to put some of the most impactful individuals in New York City local history in context. People like Robert Moses, the Young Lord, Shirley Chisholm, how they impacted different aspects of city life and local government, whether through the bureaucracy, through demanding services from city agencies, or through elected office. And just going back into the sort of history and how those lessons can be applied to young people who want to be civically involved today. And so that's happening all month. That's in partnership with the New York Public Library. And you can also find those on our events page on voting.nyc. Finally, we also have our youth ambassadors who are great. You see a couple of our rock stars who were out in Staten Island just the other day with Councilmember Debbie Rose at a community affairs event where they were able to speak with voters and register them. Other ambassadors are scheduling their events throughout the month of October with their schools or doing outreach in their communities, excuse me. And finally, they'll also be joining us for those text banks as well. There's going to be a dedicated one on the 21st for our ambassadors and other youth volunteers. Just to cover a couple of odds and ends, we did have a terrific event on the 6th. The partnership worked on by Matt Sollers. We put that together where I was able to sit on a panel with some giants in the voting space, Esmeralda Simmons, Victor Pate, Lucia Gomez, and I'm sorry if I'm not able to recall every panelist at the moment, but we had some real voting rights advocates for the disability voting rights community, voters with who are formerly incarcerated, and voters who face language access issues. So we kind of touched on all of these, and they were tremendous partners. So in addition, we did, Charlotte touched on this, we got the voter guides out in the community, in the real world, for those folks who just couldn't wait for it to hit the mail or have any other issue. We also made sure we were able to get real live voters, youth voters, thanks to our own youth participants and other partner orgs to make sure we had some voices at the start of that ad campaign concept phase. So that was helpful. And we've also continuously sent out monthly newsletters, both to our partners, to youth and volunteers, where we share all of these happenings and voting information. So we've taken a sort of like wide approach, trying a lot of different things. Very open to hearing suggestions. I'm leaving my contact information. We want to work with folks throughout the city. We have, and I'll be the first to say, we have communities such as the disability rights or voters with disability, formerly incarcerated, that I know we want to do more for. Language access is an endless sort of battle to make sure that those voters also have access. And really, there's no way around it. I think we just want to work together with folks on the committee and those who may be listening in and want to work with us on this. We welcome for your partnership. My email is there, and look forward to hearing from folks.
Thanks so much, Omar. The partnerships and outreach has a really small team, but I think Omar's presentation gives you a sense of the breadth of the outreach they're doing and really connecting with voters across the city to create those voting habits that are gonna last into the next generation and onward. So to take us home, I'm going to turn to Jordan to give us we've heard a bit through a couple of these presentations about those ballot questions. Jordan's going to give us a flavor of what those look like and the content that we've been sharing with folks to get them ready to cast their votes on these ballot proposals.
Thank you, Eric. Let me just get my screen pulled up. Great. Can everyone see that? Great. Well, thank you again, Eric. My name is Jordan Pantalone. I am the Intergovernmental Liaison here at the CFB. I am a 26-year-old white male. I have brown hair and brown eyes. I'm wearing a blue checkered shirt. I am sitting next to my closet. So you're seeing a blue sweatshirt hanging off of the wall. And behind me are gray curtains. So with that, I'm going to get going. Omar kind of alluded to this, that I was going to talk about the ballot proposals. So this is really just a sample of kind of what we've been sharing out with our partners, some of our friends when we've been giving this presentation. So I'm just going to give you a taste of that and what that looks like, and kind of, just give you a taste of some of the language that we use and how we talk about this to our audience. So with that, what is a ballot proposal? Important place to start. So a question posed to voters about a policy issue. So this year there are 5 ballot proposals on the ballot. They are state ballot proposals, and those are on the ballot because they have been passed by the state legislature in 2 consecutive terms. So these ballot proposals were passed in 2019 and then again in 2021. And now we're seeing them on the ballot, and voters have the option to vote yes or no on those. And if a majority of voters vote yes, then those changes will go into effect. So diving right into ballot proposal 1, I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's quite long, but I promise I will go over some of the details of it. So the first one has to do with redistricting. So the first issue to address, it would set the number of state senators at 63, make that number concrete. The logic there is really just to kind of take some of the politics out of this situation. If you are able to increase the number of state senators, you can draw the lines in favor of, other parties, giving them more seats and more representation. Also requires the state to count the total population in the census. So that's, regardless of citizenship, and count incarcerated people at their last place of residence. This has been standard practice, but this basically just kind of puts this officially into the Constitution. And then some other changes kind of about the logistics of the commission that puts together these lines. So that's known as the Independent Redistricting Commission. I'm just going to abbreviate that IRC here. So first would require 7 votes to approve of any plan they put forward, regardless of political affiliation. It's going to require a simple majority in the state legislature to approve the commission's plan, regardless of the party that controls the legislature. It's also going to allow the IRC to select their co-executive directors by a simple majority, also regardless of political party. And lastly, it is, didn't mean to do that. It's going to require the IRC to submit the redistricting plan to the state legislature by January 1st of 2022, and then November 15th in 2031. So the next ballot proposal we have is on the environment. So this one is fairly straightforward. It is the right to clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment. So what does this mean? It's going to alter the New York State Bill of Rights within the Constitution, just to add that language of clean water, clean air, and a healthier environment. So specifically what that means, lawmakers are going to have to consider all of those things when they make policy decisions, and New Yorkers would be able to sue if they believe their rights to clean water, clean air, or healthier environment are infringed on. The next 2 ballot proposals have to do with voting. So this is ballot proposal 3, and this deals with same-day voter registration. So I'm just going to go ahead to the next slide. Currently, within the state constitution, there is language that says voters must register at least 10 days before an election. This ballot proposal would strike that language from the Constitution, ultimately paving the way for same-day voter registration. One of the ways we kind of talk about this, this does pave the way for same-day voter registration. The legislature will eventually have to pass a bill to kind of specify same-day voter registration. That is just something to note. But ultimately, the takeaway here, it's going to strike that language from the Constitution. And then on to ballot proposal 4, that is no excuse absentee voting. New Yorkers are already quite familiar with absentee voting over the past almost 2 years now. So currently in the law, within the state constitution, voters need an excuse to request an absentee ballot. The law has recently been changed to allow COVID as an excuse through the beginning of 2022. So this would essentially make that type of system full-time, where you no longer need an excuse. So similar to ballot proposal 3, where we're striking language from the Constitution, we're doing the same thing here and striking language that you need an excuse. So again, kind of on the same wavelength here, the state legislature would eventually still have to take action. into, kind of the specifics of no excuse absentee voting and kind of set some guidelines around it. I won't speculate on whether the legislature will take action, but they did pass both of these, so I would imagine they'll take it up at some point. And last but not least is ballot proposal 5. This deals with the New York City civil courts. So this would increase the civil court's jurisdiction by allowing it to hear claims for up to $50,000 instead of $25,000. And the thought process here, there's a pretty big backlog within the New York City civil courts. Just raising that number to $50,000 is going to allow them to take on a little bit more and hopefully eliminate some of that backlog. So that was most of my quick spiel. We always make sure we point to the voter guide at the end, and as Mitchell kind of pointed out, we don't take official opinions on these, but we do put together the pro and con statement. So this is kind of where we direct folks who maybe ask, what those for and against arguments might be. And that is all I have. And I will look back to Eric.
Awesome. Thank you for that rundown, Jordan. I want to note we just had a quick question from Rosetta in the chat. Is it translated to Bengali yet? I sort of go back to Charlotte's note from her presentation. The voter guide in print, it goes out in Bengali. We are having some technical challenges with the online voter guide. And we hope to have resolved in a couple of days and have all of those required translations up. So I would also point to Omar had mentioned, I think we have some events in all those various languages coming up over the next week or two to point to. So that hopefully answers your question, Zeta. So I think we've had a really good rundown of all of the work that our staff is doing to reach various audiences all across New York City, both in kind of broadcast way and kind of individual face-to-face, at least in this manner way. I want to just stop here and give folks a chance to ask questions if they have any. I'll ask you to use your raise hand function in Zoom. I see Jamila with your hand raised, so I want to look to you.
Thank you, Eric. Just a really quick question. I know that those proposals are in the voter guide, and you just mentioned that there's a technical issue with the online piece. Does it live any place else on your website? Because if it does, we'd like to just share it and point people to it. And are there other assets that we could share as well?
The ballot proposal content is actually working in translation. I was just going to share with Ms. Zeta a link. So that seems to be okay. But I'll share a link with you that is in English, and then you can select any language you want. So yes, it is, the ballot proposal content is live now.
Thank you for that clarification, Charlotte. So that material is available in those languages right now. Great.
Yeah, the issues specifically impacting the candidate provided statements.
And will there be assets coming out afterwards, like anything like shareables that people can share, or no, we should just send them to the description, like the long?
I can have my social team let you know exactly when we're kind of calendared to push that out. I'm sure that we will be talking about ballot proposals on our social channel. We were just waiting to get this live, which it now is. So let me see if they have anything that they can share with you, but you're good to go ahead and start sharing that link in any context where you want to share it, and I'll see what else I can get you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question, two questions. One of the question is the proposal, the ballot paper, flip up the ballot, and they will see that this constitution or proposal. But our community has to know these things before they are going to vote. And even the voting guide is arriving, it seems to me is late. because of COVID. We have to be speakers somewhere else or giving add to the somewhere else that there is some proposal is coming to vote, or there is some constitutions is you have to take care of this, yes or no, their choice. But this proposal, this message has to go my community. Because these are constitutions is very important and very knowledgeable, and we have a redistricting, we have a voter proposal, we have a same-day voter registration, and absentee ballot, no excuse. These are the most important, which we are fighting long time. And thanks everyone who are participating, who are doing hard job, Eric, Amy, Matt, everyone. I am highly appreciated. And in the other hand, we have to work hard. Still, we are working hard. Really, we are really, these are that what we are now. This was not 2010. And we are achieving much more better position now. And we need to be work hard to more involve, more educate, more giving message to the multilingual, so that our people will understand that what is our coming through. How you can do that, giving us some advice. Speak out on the lobby, speak out on that field, street. The boat motorcade, you see, I am very excited who got that idea. I'm very excited. These are the messages we need to be community. Our people not really yet educated. We need to be more pressure, more involved, more engaged. And November 2nd is our hectic day and also hardship day because of this proposal, because of this constitution. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Ada. Thank you for those words. We appreciate you, appreciate your advocacy, appreciate you keeping us honest. There's a lot we've done. There's a lot more work to do. So thank you. So we had a question in the Q&A from Nicole, which I'll kind of sort of pose to the group here. Is there any conversation around producing and mailing materials earlier? My dad and I received our absentee ballots about 10 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, we would love for the voter guide to get to people earlier. We have kind of looked at the schedule from a lot of different angles. I think the challenge is that we have to print and mail several million voter guides. I know that the Board of Elections sent out something like 150,000 absentee ballots. So there is a big scale difference. Like they are still like printing like physical equipment that has to run. And so the order in which they arrive in different people's mailboxes, there is a difference. We know people were posting on social media about getting their voter guide several days ago. So some people have gotten them, but we are literally waiting for them to roll off the presses and go into the mailbox as soon as they do. One of the challenges is that we don't know who is on the ballot until relatively late in the production process. As soon as we know that, we finalize those files and send them to print. I would love for it to be faster. The only thing we've been able to figure out how to, make sure that it's up as a little bit sooner is the digital piece. If you have ideas though, I really would welcome them. We're always trying to figure out, is there anywhere we could buy ourselves a little bit more time?
So thanks, Nicole, for that question. I hope that answers it. Again, I think getting the right information to folks at the right time is something that we really do we do think a lot about and try to make sure we're doing. I'll sort of look around again and just see if there's any further questions, comments. Zola or new chair, I see you unmuted if you have anything to add to the conversation.
Well, no, I think everything has been said already in terms of the work that has been done and what has to be done. I've learned quite a bit about the work of this committee, including the scope of introductions. I didn't know so many elements that were included in the introduction, so I left a lot of it out in my introduction. Maybe next time I'll do better. But I think that what I've heard so far, I think it's strategic that voter education and voter motivation is strategic at this point in the political reality of New York City. And as Omar was also stating, is the get out the vote is another strategic element that I heard a lot about here as well. So I hope that in the next meeting, I'll be a little bit more caught up with what's going on, and I will have more to contribute. But right now, I think the best I could do is to listen.
It's not too late yet.
That is much appreciated. So I'll give one last look around. Any other members of the committee have comments? I want to close this out. Amy, anything to add? I see Chris with your hand raised too.
I was just going to add to what Zoilo was saying. When I first came on, I was just pleasantly overwhelmed with the amount of data. As a citizen of New York, you kind of see, an election unfold. I'm a political scientist, so I study it as part of my discipline. But I'll just add, Zoilo, I think that the next meeting we have, which is after the election, is really the fun one, because we get to dive into what worked and what didn't. And going all the way back to last summer, when we had the primaries and we were doing it during the pandemic and early voting, and those wrap-up meetings after the election, as important as these are, the ones after the election are really the fun ones to digest. So I'm sure you'll have a lot more to say, because we will see how New York did, and that's the fun part of this, I think, from my perspective.
And let me just add, as we're closing now, is that I'm very much instructed on the role and function of the traditional role and function of chairperson. But I think I have to have some more discussion with Eric as to what is the role and function of a chairperson in this kind of committee. I hope to have that discussion before the next meeting. So maybe I'll be able to participate more.
For sure. I do also want to make sure I note we've been joined by Okwe and by Danielle. Both had kind of noted that the commitments that prevented them from joining us at the start, but are thankfully here. Have caught the kind of tail end of the meeting. Danielle, I see your hand raised, and I want to give you an opportunity to jump in.
Thank you, Eric, and apologies for being late. I just wanted to say, Jordan, that was a great presentation, super clear, super user-friendly, and I only wish I had thought to ask you to come address our club tonight to do the same presentation again. But I want to say that that's the kind of work that you all do, and I just wanted to say that I've been really grateful over the years for Amanda and everybody else's work, and Matt, and this presentation tonight was just one more example of the high quality that you all turn out consistently and very shorthanded. And so thank you, Eric, and thanks everybody else, and Amy and everybody.
Thanks, Danielle. Amy.
Well, again, I mean, I want to say that we have been doing this for about 10 years. I mean, we took on this mandate after 2011, and really to me, like the impressive growth and, scope of what we do for each election is just amazing. And so, I mean, really the team that we've built is, really impressive. I also don't want to be remiss in thanking Okwe for his service. I know that this is his last meeting, so thank you very much for your service on the committee. We will miss you, and we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
I want to echo those thanks to Okwe. Thank you for your contributions during your time on the committee. Wish you luck. Any other closing comments before we call it a night? Okwe.
And I do want to again thank everyone here on the committee for all the work on the few years I've been on here. I mean, I think it's really incredible the work you do and the work it does for the city itself. So it's been an honor to be part of this for the time that I've been, and I will miss it. It's one of the things I do enjoy doing in my time here in New York. So I'll miss it. I'll miss you all, but thank you for allowing me to serve.
Awesome. Zorlo, I'll look to you just one last time before we close. If you want to cap us off for the evening.
Well, I guess, like I said before, everything has already been said. I really appreciate the time. I'm learning now that the dedication of public servants in the area of voting and voter empowerment. And I hope that that we continue, and especially now where voting has been drawn into question on a national level, and we need to be even more up to date and motivated and continue to move forward and ensuring that those who are not empowered become empowered, and that we do everything we can to ensure the participation in voter education, not only citywide, but advocate for it nationwide. So with that, again, I appreciate your work, and I'm very motivated and interested in learning more about your work. And we'll see how things go, and I'm excited for the next election. See what happens afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to, before we end, just give one more thanks to the staff for all of their work and for representing it so well tonight. Thanks to the members of the committee for your participations, for your questions. To Zorlo, to Amy. Reminder to everybody, 1 week from Saturday, voting starts. And then we've November 2nd is that last day. Let's get to it. We'll be back afterwards, like Chris said, to talk about how it went.
Great.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Signing off.
Bye-bye.